Good morning, everybody. Here we are for another garden update. So a couple things happening today. I'm going to be removing two of the cucumber plants that are, one has not produced. It's flowered, it's grown a little bit, has not produced. It's what I would consider a weakling and a weak link. The other one produced like one cucumber since inception, which is not good. Uh, Same thing with a couple of the pumpkin plants. So typically, you saw when I did the green beans, when I did the seeds, I pulled out the ones that had very, very low yield or very low production. Okay, I don't want those seeds. This is old school. They do this all now in a laboratory, but used to be back in the day with the farmers. This is where I learned this from. Was the lower producing plants? You harvested what you got off them. Don't reuse those seeds. That's my rule of thumb. I toss them over in the dirt and let them go to compost, which you saw me do. I'm doing the same thing with the cucumber plant. I don't want the bees taking the pollen from those plants and, pollinating other bushes and trees and plants around my garden. They're weak links. I don't want them to have anything to do with production. So I'm going to cut those down. They're going to go into my garden and be composted. Also, we're going to go over a couple of the pumpkin plants. Like I said earlier, I didn't have many bees this year, as many as I'd like. So there wasn't a lot of pollination going on. So I did get quite a few pumpkins on two of the plants. The other plants, they have no female blooms. They're all male blooms. So I'm going to cut and prune away those bushes again because they're not producing, they're not able to produce any kind of offspring for any kind of pumpkins. They're going to get chopped up and thrown in the heat. Uh, I don't want bees and butterflies using those blooms on the good plants, especially since now I have 10 new plants coming in that I can watch closer. These were just a test. These are the ones the second growing is the one I'm really going to babysit and take care of. With that said, I do have one male flower. I have a bunch of male flowers that I can take the pollen from. The stamen, the male part of the flower. The male flower's got the stamen. The female flower is the one where it has the mini pumpkin on it, and you'll see the bloom coming out of it. When that opens up inside, that is the female. That is the pistil, if you remember biology. So I will take this little acrylic paintbrush I have, and I will just lightly touch the stamen from the male flower, take whatever pollen I can get off of that, and I'll touch it to the pistil on the female flower, and then that can hopefully start to make that uh, pumpkin plant grow. Um, Technically, it's basically the ovary. The pumpkin is considered the ovary if you look it up, in in the science books. So you're basically pollinating the ovary with the pollen from the male plant. So I'm going to do that manually. Typically, the bees do that, but like I said, the bee population hasn't been what it usually. Last year, the bee population and the butterfly population was crazy. Had no trouble with pollination. This year, it was a little bit lower. And in a second, the other thing I'm going to do is by the two cucumber plants I'm going to be cutting up and taking out and replanting. Got two potato plants here that are starting to die out. I don't know what my production is going to be. I only watered them. I didn't really do any babysitting of them, but let's see. Let's see what we got. I tossed them in the dirt and covered them behind my picket fences. So here we go. Sit tight, hold on. So what I want you to see is this cucumber plant has really done nothing for me, okay? So I'm just going to come down here. I'll just sever it, okay? There's nothing growing on that. I don't want that reproducing with any other flowers in the garden, okay? It's not doing anything for me. It hasn't even given me one. Here is the potato. Like I said, I have no idea what this is going to do for me. Let's see what we got. All right, let's see here. There's one. That's the mama plant. That's a little baby plant. I can get in there. What do I got? I got more. Yep, I got some other little ones here. So this one did not produce that well, but like I said, I didn't babysit the ones behind the picket fences. I just watered them. So that one, next year, you know, I'll put some more compost in there, and we'll give it another try. But there's the one. Let's go over and check out the other plant. And so again, we have this other plant. This is my other cucumber plant. It is not producing anything, so I don't want it here. I can replant and start over again and get a better harvest. And then this takes this out of the running as far as bees taking, you know, pollen from a worthless plant, in my opinion. It's beautiful. Yes, they're pretty. I get it. But this is a working garden. This is not a garden. I find it really beautiful because I love gardening. But this is not a Better Homes and Garden where it's going to make magazines. I don't care. I create food. Or actually, I just ate that bug. Anyways, let me grab my spade fork. And as you can see, here's my second potato plant. Since I'm here, I'm going to harvest this one also. Let's see what we get. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Okay. So already I can see one of the issues. That's a lot of clay. So, because like I said, I didn't prepare this dirt that much. I barely did. I just turned it over with a spade fork. But you can see the redness. It packs together like a ball. If potatoes need to expand, so you need to keep the soil kind of loose. There's one. There's two. The third and the fourth little one. So this one did a little bit better. The host potatoes right there. That host potato decomposed. I'm not keeping that little one. That's just a baby. Those will go in compost. But as you can see, that was the problem there. The soil. The soil was definitely the issue. And to be honest, that is one of my most pathetic harvests from potato plants I've ever seen in my life. There are 10 potatoes in there. 10. That's not even a half a pound. They're little. So anyways, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So let's get to it. Let me prune back these pumpkin plants, and then we will do the manual pollination. So stick around. So what you can see here is I need these pallets for when they grow. This is doing nothing. So these are all the males, okay? There's no pumpkin at the base. These are the male flowers. So they're not doing anything. I don't want this plant here. So I'm going to do that plant is now severed from the vine, okay? There was nothing growing on that, so it was not doing me any good. I have this one over here. I just saw this. Nope, that is not a pumpkin. So this one also here is going to get severed. Okay. Now, what I can do is pull this out. Make sure there's no, always watch for snakes. You got to watch for snakes in Oklahoma. And that is now part of the pallet pile. And then this one here is all going to get mowed. And now I can come in, till all of this. So hold on one second. Okay, you'll see the ants down in here. Okay, got little ants. But if you can see, get you close enough here. That yellow, that's all pollen in there. So I'll be taking my brush, this brush, I will be touching it to the pollen in a second. And then I will bring it over here. As you can see, the female, there's the mini pumpkin, there's the female, there's the pistil. I will take this with surgeon-like precision and try and transfer pollen from point A to point B. So maybe somebody can cue some romantic music, turn the lights down, and let's do this. So you can see I'm in here. Oh yeah. Yep, look at that. Oh, let me see if I can get this near something you can see. Look at all, see all the powder? It's not really, there it is. That's all pollen, okay? So now, let me steady this. I'm gonna come over here and go down inside the female part of the flower, and I'm touching this all over there, okay? Boom, chicka brown brown, chicka brown brown, boom, chicka brown brown. Okay, so I pretty much got all, if you can see that. Let me see if I can show it better. I got all the pollen off the brush onto the pistil. So now we'll give that a week or so, and we will see if I was able to manually pollinate that pumpkin. If I did, if it was successful, it's going to start to grow, okay? Much like that one, okay? So with that said, I'm going to end this video here, and you guys all have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this pumpkin patch and cucumber patch video. Weeds, because I'm going to weed later, but that's how far the pumpkin plants have come along in 4 days. Then I restacked my pallets over here for when they run. Here's the other 5. Look at how much they've grown. So now they're going to start running, and I'll put stakes, wooden stakes, as they start to run, and I'm going to train them and force them to go this way, and then put these pallets all along here. And I will also probably manually pollinate these, even if they're being pollinated by bees, just to make sure. But there is a shot with the ones that weren't doing anything. There's the cucumbers that are taken out. I'm going to replant there and there. Another cucumber plant each side. And there's all of the pumpkin plants. There's the ones that are really doing well. And there's my cucumbers doing well. Now I can come in, till all that grass, till all the way around here into this garden. There we go. This is now Okie's Eden Garden with those right there. Those pumpkin plants are now gone. I've pruned them out and threw them in here for decomposition. And then you'll see how much it opened it up, because now I have all of the pallets over in the other corner for when the other ones start to run. The other pumpkin plants will run here pretty soon. So that's upcoming, so stay tuned.